And we're going to go to the NFL right now. And Mark Schlerber, friend of both of ours, colleague at Fox Sports, was on the Herd with Colin Cowherd, Rob, this week. And he was talking about what the future could hold for Russell Wilson in Denver. And here's what he said.
I would be shocked if Russell Wilson makes it past this year, if he's the quarterback of the Denver Broncos next year. I would be shocked. And it's not that Russell Wilson is playing terrible football. I mean, Thursday night notwithstanding, he was bad Thursday night. But it's not that he's playing terrible football, but he's not playing winning football, and he's not elevating the players around him. And so from that standpoint, I think it's time to clean house, and it's time to, get new players.
Rob, what do you think about that? This is his second year with the Broncos. Obviously, he's got that huge contract that hadn't even started yet. They could move off of him. Here's how they could do it, Rob. They could release him some point in the offseason as long as it's by a certain date. I don't know the exact date. I feel like it's 5 games into next season, but I don't have the exact date. But they can release him at some point after this season and then smooth out the remaining cap. They owe him it'd be like $80-something million. They could smooth that out over the next 2 years. And so it'd be about a $40 million hit each year. Rob G, that's basically it, right?
Yeah, you're right on it, Chris. According to Spot Track, the Broncos could designate Russell Wilson as a post-June 1 release in the first few days of the 2024 league year. Doing so, put him on the hook for $39 million in dead cap for 2024 and $35.4 million dead cap 2024 and $49.6 in 2025 if they spread out his option bonus. So a lot of money.
I disagree with that. And the whole notion that if you wanted to blame Russell Wilson last year, Chris, I'm all on board. This team has a lot of issues, and it's not just him. That's just an easy excuse to say clean house. Slater says, I should just clean house. Yeah, we could clean house. How about starting with Sean Payton, who was supposed to come and get this thing turned around? Oh, yeah, he's a quarterback whisperer. Oh, he'll get Russell Wilson together. He's this, he's that. He's done an awful job. You want to pour ketchup on a contract and eat it? Eat Sean Payton's contract. And don't tell me he makes too much money and you can't do it. You can do whatever you want. The family that owns the Denver Broncos are one of the richest families in this country. Eating $20 or $30 million or whatever is left on his deal is not going to break them.
He makes, Rob, to your point, looks like it's $18 million a year for 5 years. Now, here's the thing, because people, you're right. That's what people are saying. No way with that contract. So let's say it was 4 years, $18 million left on it. That would be what? 4 years, $72 million, right? That is, I guess, the equivalent, roughly. It's actually a little less than they would be paying Russell Wilson to go away. So I'm just saying, if you want to say it's too much money to eat and hire another guy, well, if you let Russell Wilson go, you're not getting anything from him, and it's going to be $80-something million on your cap the next 2 years. So it's kind of the similar situation.
But the only better part, Chris, if you get rid of Payton, is you have no dead cap room, the space. Like it doesn't affect you being able to put new people and players, or you're not penalized by it.
No, you're just going to get, you will have to pay your new coach.
Right. That's all.
That's just.
But my thing is, to use him as a scapegoat, like if he played like he played last year, Chris, all right, if you want to get rid of him, I'm not going to stand in the way. And I'm not saying he's playing like he's a Pro Bowler or anything. But to use that as the reason why the Denver Broncos are where they are? Nah, I'm sorry. Payton was supposed to be the savior. They had a white horse out in front of Fox when he left the couch from Colin Cowherd, jumped on it, and rode out to Denver. He was supposed to be the cavalry. He was supposed to be the savior. He was supposed to be the Messiah. And instead he turned out to be Ronald McDonald without the nose and floppy shoes. That's what he is. He's had a bad year in Denver so far as coach there. A 70-piece, some of the losses to some of the teams, Chris, the effort. The Jets like at home, so many bad moments, and we're only 6 games into the season?
Well, I think, Rob, you said something a week or maybe a month ago or maybe 3-4 weeks ago, whatever, about maybe you could trade him, so to speak, to the Chargers. Because if they don't make the playoffs, Brandon Staley's going to be gone, I would imagine. I thought he should have been gone long ago. But if they want to get rid of Brandon Staley and take Sean Payton, maybe you can get some draft picks for him. That makes some sense to me because Payton probably wants out of there. Payton would probably love to go to the Chargers if it becomes available. So I think that's one thing. I think whether or not you believe they should keep Russell Wilson or not, and Schlereth, I don't think he was saying, I don't know, I didn't read what he said as they shouldn't keep Russell Wilson. Maybe that's how he feels.
Well, it wasn't. It wasn't definitive saying, anyway,
right,
because he said.
Well, he's not reporting anything.
Right,
he's just giving an opinion.
I wouldn't be surprised, but that leaves you in a lurch.
No, but I think what he's saying is because I think, Rob, when you look at the situation, it looks like Sean Payton is clearing house. That's what I mean. I think Schlereth was saying not they should get rid of Russell Wilson. Now, he may feel that way, but I don't think that's what he was saying. I think he was saying I'd be surprised at the way things are going, not just the record, but Randy Gregory, gone. Frank Clark, gone. Jerry Jeudy on the trade block. There's talk about Cortland Sutton being traded and maybe some of the defensive backs. Like, it looks, Rob, like they are cleaning house, not just with Russell Wilson, but with basically all of their veterans. And that's where, like, we can argue over whether or not they should keep Wilson. He's not the main problem this year. He's playing pretty okay, right? He's not playing like he did in Seattle. He's playing much better than he did last year. And up until last game, he was actually having what you might say was a good year. Not a great year, but a good year. So he's not the only problem, but it looks like, and this is what a lot of people felt like with Sean Payton, that he wasn't going to go down with the ship. That if things went bad, he was going to scapegoat some people, and everybody's pointed at Russell Wilson. But again, it's been other players. It's been guys they just have had recently, and Gregory and Clark, veteran players. And so that's where it looks like he is setting it up to tear it all down and then rebuild it, the way he wants to.
Yeah, I get that. I just think, where's his accountability? It wasn't like Chris, he came and went, hey, you know what? This is going to be a total rebuild. Hey, what? No, there were some expectations.
Well, he said himself he'd be upset if they don't make the playoffs.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like to go from that to well, I got to be here. We have to clean out everything and start all over. If I'm them, you could have told me that. I could have got an interim coach way cheaper, Chris. And once we did all that, you know what I mean? Brought him along.
Bring you in. Well, the interesting thing will be this. Okay, we all know Russ hasn't lit the world on fire in Denver. But the question, whenever you talk about getting rid of your quarterback, and he's not horrible, and he's a name guy, like a Russell Wilson, like a Dak Prescott in Dallas, not that Dak's playing as poorly as Russ, but the question always becomes, well, who are you replacing him with? And the Broncos, Rob, they do have their first round pick in this upcoming draft. So they could, who knows if they'll be in position to take Caleb Williams, people like Michael Penix Jr., Drake May, there are other quarterbacks out there But you and I have talked about it. I mean, who knows? Who knows if any of these guys will be any good? But I mean, heck, he's right down the road from Shedeur Sanders. Do you start talking to Dion about if we draft Shedeur, you cool with that? Would you let him come out? Or will you make him eligible for the draft? Those are, if they can get, and again, who knows if any of these guys will pan out?
Right, we don't know.
You have no idea. But doesn't Chris just Payton gets no blame? There's no responsibility. No, he clearly. I mean,
if he didn't have the contract, just say he was a coach that they just hired, he would be on the block to get fired, wouldn't he? Like just off of what has happened this year.
You mean like Nat Hackett?
Yeah, like that.
I think this is what protects him, Rob. And look, and I think you'll agree with this. I get it. Like, this is how it works. This is what you earn because of his resume. And you've talked about how it's no better than Mike McCarthy's, and it is pretty similar to Mike McCarthy's.
It's close, right?
But that's still a good resume. And because of his resume, he has earned the benefit of the doubt. He hasn't earned where he's beyond reproach. I agree with you. And we have criticized him on this show, both of us. All right. I think he is primarily to blame for what's going on this year. Does that mean I'd fire him? Not necessarily. But I do think he is at the most fault for why this thing has been so bad. But because of his resume, Rob, and because it was, we know how bad the Saints were. They were the New Orleans Aints. Because of all that, and he turned them around, won a Super Bowl, he's going to get a lot more rope than a Nat Hackett or a first-year coach, or first-time coach, I should say. And I think that's fair. I mean, I think that's how it should be. You earn certain levels of respect based on what you've done. And so I think that's really the difference. I hear you. You can argue Nat Hackett has some moments that just made you scratch your head, like on live TV.
Starting from week one. You remember the first game?
Right. And even they started 2-1 and they still had moments. But Peyton, when you look at the 70 piece, when you look at losing to the Jets after all that talk, when you look at the defense going from top 10 to one of the worst in the league, like, you can argue this has been a worse job than Nat Hackett did, but still he has the resume. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. It's because it's all for rep. If it wasn't for the rep, you're right.
He earned that rep. I mean, he did, do a good job. Whether it's a little overhyped or not, it's still a good job he did in New Orleans. So I think that's why he gets a little leeway. But no, he definitely deserves some blame.